Alright, here we are, doing our Thursday group consciousness awakeness hangout. And just instantly by putting my attention on attention itself and my unbroken gaze, undivided, just focus on the webcam lens here, drawing us in to our, and drawing me in to our unity consciousness. What a way to start. Good for us. So, I'm going to pass the mic over to Sperry. Maybe we'll start with if there's any questions or any burning desires, topics to cover, and we'll continue on. Here we go.
Well, I'd like to focus us today more into the practice in its purity and simplicity, where we can notice that ordinarily what we do is we talk about what it is that we're sensing or feeling or thinking or intuiting. And we describe it in words when we're speaking. And while this can bring us closer to the awakeness, the awareness to which we're perceiving with, when we're not referring to the past or the future and we're just speaking about what is arising as we're speaking into our group awareness, into our shared sensitivity, it still maybe can be conceived as being slightly removed from the awakeness itself. And I was wondering this morning that, when we were in English class, early on, we were asked to write essays that were descriptive of our environment, just pure and simple. And we have, quite a while ago, we were really focused on describing just the witnessing itself, this mirror-like awakeness, which gives us the exercise of getting our thinking, verbal, descriptive mind connected with our right brain, with our experiential, emotional part of us, that the right brain being connected directly to the heart and the feeling how relaxed or not relaxed we are in our bodies, experiencing creatively. And right brain also largely manages our sense of spatial relations. So this spaciousness of our life, the experience of being connected and undivided from the space that we're experiencing, is part of what we want to connect our thinking, analytical, verbal brain with experientially. So we can integrate the right and left side of us and integrate us socially. So I'd like to ask us today to try to, instead of talking about what we feel, which is kind of an easy way to do this, like I feel this, I feel that instead we attempt to describe how we perceive the witnessing itself, the awakeness itself. So we've all been doing this for a number of months, so this new level of difficulty and challenge ought not to be too great. And so, for example, This witnessing that we're aware of together it seems to be all-encompassing. It seems to be inclusive of everything that I'm sensing and feeling, thinking and intuiting. And it's kind of like a medium. I don't know. I'd like us not to use metaphors if possible, because that brings up images. So to be as descriptive as possible. It seems this witnessing seems equally everywhere, and there isn't anything else that is equally everywhere like this awakeness. And perhaps that's why I can so readily experience you, Anna, and Brian, and Nellie witnessing with me, because your awakeness and mine are all happening at once together, and this sense of being everywhere at once that awakeness seems to have, for me, is shared by you all, and that's what allows us to feel this oneness and this unity of consciousness. So I know that was kind of like a question there, but it's still, I'm exploring descriptively. So let's see how this works out. And let's try sticking to it, because it's going to be challenging and it's going to be sort of hard going a little bit. But let's see what happens, because we're exercising our ability to connect our thinking and verbalizing with that which is beyond the conceptual mind. So we're going to bring the two together. So please continue. Who would like to take the mic next?
Well, I'll try. And I know that metaphors are my way, so to avoid those is not easy. So as we are focusing on the awareness as altogether, and again I use a soft focus. I'm just letting my eyes rest on the lens of the camera, and I get I see that we are all part of this awareness. We are all focusing on the same thing. I mean, resting on the same thing. And although the content of our peripheral vision and the content of our awareness changes because we are in different environments, but so that's what I see. I see that unity and there is diversity at the same time right now. There's diversity of what the awareness of the awareness of awareness is containing, so to speak. I know, and it's an image, but it's an image. It's not in focus. It's like it's like they are kind of fusing in with one another. That's what I see right now. And I pass the mic. Not sure that's what you're asking, but that's my shot.
Oh, that's great, Nellie. I just would maybe stretch it and maybe talk a little longer next time, so that I know it's a hot potato, and we want to pass it on. But that was great. So please, let's try to really get into it experientially in depth here, so that we really exercise our talking to keep focused on this intimate and very immediate sense of being awake, awakeness itself, and what it, how we can describe it, this immediate experience of being this awake and awareness. Who would like to speak next?
Michael.
I thought Anna was going, but I guess not.
Hey, you can go.
The hot potato. So, one way that I am sensing is immediate access to focus on nothing. Just totally nothing. And how to convey a witnessing of the no thing, just nothing. And how do I point our collective attention there's this dynamic of nothing. It's just not putting anything into our space. And it's kind of like a counterpoint to being all-inclusive, or including everything, which includes the nothing. So we often say, being nobody, going nowhere, forever. There's an aspect of there's that, and then I think one of the ways that the way is just really in what I've just shared, adding into it being in my body, that I'm in my body, and it has a subjective quality, and I can relate that to there are experiences where it's been very objective, where I don't know if I was really in my body. It was really, most of my attention was so outside and focused on what was going on outside of me that I wasn't in my picture, if that makes sense. Kind of like my life film everything was going on outside of me rather than me as one with my environment. There was some form of a disconnect. And what consistently happens in our Awakeness Hangouts is really being in my body. And I can relate it to sexual experience, where in a sexual experience I'm very much in my body and having wonderful sensations and feelings and experiences. This is like a spiritual sex where I'm very much in my body and we're experiencing together as one body, heart, and mind here, because we have the context of a formless witness together. And to bring it around full circle, one of the first access for me is to be able to go to nothing, to be able to include and be nothing, to be formless, to be void-based. Alright, I'll pass the mic.
Could I give some reflection on that? Brian, that, from my point of view, that was very, those sort of ideas, a lot of ideas about it. So I'm looking for us to not refer to the past or some other instance or, some way of describing it that's sort of indirect comparatively, but to instead attempt to describe exactly what it, point to what it is that we are as awakeness in the moment, right here, right now, kind of thing. So, so because the moment we start giving images and similes and memories, we're back into imagery, and it's just it takes this which has no image, and it doesn't really see it, or doesn't really unite our thinking, conceptualizing, image-making mind with what is imageless. We keep, relating new images to old images or other images, and so I'd like to see if we can really link the image-making, verbalizing mind with the actual experience of what is right here, imageless awakeness. So, okay, Anna, it's all yours.
Okay, it's my turn. I need to use some words, so I'm going to use some words anyway. Which will be a bit of silent space, spacious, that takes the form of whatever it contains. So right now it takes this form. I will change the form. It's changing all the time because it's empty. So it's taking the form of the color that the form appears at the moment. This silence, subtle, and kind of everything quiet at some level around it. This is very quiet and reorganizes everything. So soul can be quiet as the nature of this is, some kind of quietness, silence, stillness that kind of permeates the form. So there is talking and witnessing and forms. At the same time, it's a stillness in the movement, the words, the forms. Allows everything and reorganize it in a subtle way, reorganize us, my words now, without reorganizing. And yet there is a kind of vibrancy to it that the form surrenders to put it that way. So there is silence, it's very alive. It kind of affects the form who look at it. When connected is it can do is his own work. That was my goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. That was fabulous. Bravo, encore. Just like to ask you to try to be very careful when saying a word, so you articulate it clearly so we can easily understand it. Sometimes there are words that you pronounce that I'm not sure at all what you're saying. The saying that the awakeness here is like a silence that permeates all the forms that are perceived. Really elegant, Anna. Thank you. So I'm finding this really wonderful that we're not talking about how we're reacting or responding personally, emotionally, or sensorially. We're really being descriptive of awakeness. As we're finding it here, moment by moment. So, this awakeness wow. In this challenge, it's a great challenge in looking into how to describe this awakeness. without talking about how it's affecting me to attempt to do this is really a challenge. This awakeness has no image. Its imageless quality doesn't seem to be anywhere except where I'm seeing it, right here, looking into my own eyes. And yet, the longer I look into its presence, the more I'm finding it everywhere, within me and around me, intimately a part of everything that it's tempting to remark just how incredibly satisfying it is. Personally, so I won't do that. Wow. It is, like you said, Brian, it's like a spiritual orgasm or something. Very serene and ecstatic, and but again, that is a result, an effect, rather than a description of it. The longer I look at it, the more I see about it, the more I feel and sense about it, the more everything that I'm sensing appears to be made of nothing other than it. All the images seem to fall away, and it's as though I am, and we are left with just formless, pure consciousness, in which any images that are here, or feelings, or sensations, or intuitions that are here, are like a shadow, cast, a secondary aspect of this which is imageless and thoughtless. Timeless. Stillness itself. Goodness. The effect it's having on rearranging everything that I'm experiencing. There is a sense of certainly of no one thing, of it, of awakeness not being a thing, of this witnessing action or activity, not having a subject or predicate, that it has no object, and that it's not an it. Does it exist? Is this? No, it doesn't. It seems to be beyond existence somehow. So existence were some kind of overlay or a dreamlike overlay that is being apprehended by and allowed to exist because of this awakeness. Is it causing the dream? No. The dream of waking consciousness? No. Definitely not intentionally. It has no agenda. It just is. It's beyond any description. Ultimately, it's so mysterious, so indescribable, so immeasurable. Okay, pass the mic.
I'd like to describe the way I accessed this awareness. I keep on detecting this movement, starting from my subjective body outward and upward, something like stretching, and see this move. So I detect a movement. It doesn't. This awakeness doesn't have a color or a sound or a shape, but it has a movement in my in my perception. It's so vast, and it keeps on expanding and expanding. And when I want to describe this, I cannot find any words really, because I cannot find any words of, and I cannot even say it doesn't have a color in a way, because it has all. Anything can emerge at any moment from this force, from this space, and I don't feel separated. You know, there's a so if I describe this awakeness, it can be, I can be describing me too, inside of it. You know, so um, it is beyond existence. It like the background. I can help see a color. Actually, I see black, but I know that that is not. I just want to. It's like I'm not like. It's whatever. It's an attribute. So, but this movement, this vibration is so intense and so subtle that it's stillness, actually. All of a sudden it feels. It's still. That's the mic.
So I'm continuing to describe awakeness. Awakeness is being the 99.999% of non-matter that's existed. So our senses only sense 1% of color, electromagnetic spectrum, and so there's this 99.99, tremendous amount that is not seen. And so awakeness, to describe it, is all-inclusive. So it does include what we're seeing and hearing and feeling. And it includes what's not seen. And awakeness is sublime sensitivity and stillness. Ashton would like to share. As you see, it's a toy that he squeezes and an eye pops out.
Wow.
Love it.
Like a giant
Ah.
eye there.
Put it up here.
Ashton, we're describing
Ashton,
Ah.
Barry's got a question for you. On the camera, please. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Ashton, we're describing what it's like to have eyes that see and what the seeing is. Can you describe the seeing that sees everything? Pretty daunting, huh?
Maybe you just demonstrated it,
Exactly, yeah. Illustrated it, but
Yeah.
yeah. So without using any assumptions or assimilations or anything,
Yeah.
similes, just the actual description of what's perceived as awakeness.
Well, one thing that comes up for me is if there's any tension or any pretense, what I like about our practice right here is to bring more ease, because the less we describe it and just leave it as an unknown or an unseen, then there's a surprise effect, like there's a dynamic of suspense. I get this, yet there's a bit of a failure that I'm feeling because it's tremendously difficult. And I think if I bring any tension into sharing it, it's certainly not going to land. Yet it's, there's baby steps, or got to start somewhere, and that maybe at some point it'll get easier. I guess. Because,
Well, let's see if you can let go of all of that, so that there isn't any resistance. Try not to, to experience the difficulty as difficulty. Just let it be energy, or let it be easy to experience an enormous challenge, and just go for the gold. Because I think that, if I may say here, in defense of this approach, is that I would say that it's because it's so difficult to relate consciously to consciousness itself as that which is not an object, as no image. Because it's so difficult, we describe things with images, with words, that then relate to other images and other words. And like the dictionary, you can go around and around, and every word is used to describe every other word ultimately, and it's just it's an endless mental masturbation at some level that we're avoiding this really relating to awakeness itself. We allow it to, we just take it for granted and just allow it to be there, operating in the background, but we never bring it on stage and honor it with our attention and our descriptive capacities that we've been evolving for whatever, 40,000 years or something. I find it extremely interesting to do this. I hope that, could we just support this exercise in this form today? I would really appreciate just exploring what happens when we do this. I think we're doing great so far. I know it's hard, but the hardness can be released. So, getting back to the exercise here, it's really easy to get distracted by things and thoughts, but that which is not a thought and not a thing is magnificent, and it's so the words endless or indefinable or indescribable or even stillness, saying it's moving, everything seems to fall short. No word seems to be adequate to awakeness. describe awakeness. So to be attempting to describe it and to feel that we're failing to describe it is itself, I find, very is affecting us in a positive way. That we're experiencing how impossible describing what is indescribable, and that it's really having a very beneficial effect, I must say, on this one's nervous system. And I wonder, without getting into a description of how wonderful it is, that just witnessing the witnessing, pure and simple, and attempting to describe it is the exercise that I would love to continue with. I so deeply apologize if it's not something that anybody else is interested in, but could we pursue it nonetheless, please? Okay. Who would like to speak next?
Well, I'll speak. It feels like this exercise is a great massage to my synapses. It's like I use the word "like" a lot. I all of a sudden see that. To describe the infinite with finite method is certainly a challenge with finite brain or words. And my access to this, the way I, like when you said what you said, Sperry, about describing the seeing, we end up describing what we see, right, rather than the seeing. So that's the same thing here. So my access to this is starting from my beingness here. I know my beingness, my and expanding it and becoming, trying to, I access it by becoming it, so to speak. I cannot stay outside, and certainly not. Oh, yes, okay, and certainly not making myself quote wrong for being a blob of this thing, of this infinite thing in my skin, so to speak, right? I'm not making, so it's the space that seems to emerge out of this exercise of this conversation is going, I can only know it through me, so to speak. I can only not, and the challenge here for me is to describe what I already know is going through me. So that from the inside out, in other words, not from the outside in. Well, although there is no inside and outside. There is no inside and outside. And the language that is used, we choose to use today, is English. So it can get a little muddled. can get, maybe we can invent new words today. I think that this exercise doesn't leave us the way it finds us. We are transformed by this. So all this said, and the spaciousness is the and the ever growing space in which that I describe, that I want to describe here right now, is the main characteristic of this awakeness. So I hope I make sense. I don't know. Anyway, my contribution here to the elephant we are describing. Thank you. Pass the mic.
We haven't heard from Anna in a while. What do you say, Anna?
Okay. It's fine. I this awakeness is it doesn't speak. And yet it's very powerful, stressful, and everything that is contained in it, which is everything, contains it. So in some flowers I can see from here, or the trees, or our hearts, there is a rhythm. Which is common. And to connect with it, normal activity needs to be silent. It's kind of a secret, which is an open secret. So here, so much here, that in the midst of the images and forms cannot be seen, that in this stillness together is a potent presence that is very intimate, is very present, and the beating of our hearts right now is just there. All the growth of the flowers I see around is happening. There is a rhythm within us, within everything, the trees, the clouds, the seas, the earth, all human hearts beating now, whether just right now, different forms, different scenarios, and yet a rhythm within all creation that necessitates this silent, powerful life force generous, life-giving, doesn't ask for anything. And never goes, because it's sustaining everything right now and all the time. It doesn't say anything. There in the quietness of mind, images, words, sensations, beyond that, it can be felt, to use one word, but it's not as a normal feeling that as I said, presence. I think I passed the mic.
So, am I still here? I'd like to take a shot at describing awakeness as this body, heart, and mind Okay. So there's an aspect of me that's never been born, never died, and exists everywhere and nowhere, right? And is able to fully experience my experience. And so now I'm going to turn around and describe this aspect of my greater self and bring my greater self to our stage here. And first thing I get is all-encompassing love. A really pervasive, loving, tremendously encompassing and tremendously powerful. And I get there's also a mirror-like, that there's this wonderful radiance that is equally felt and seen and experienced. And it's just it's an overwhelming yet so welcoming and inclusive. I find it a bit challenging to point to, it's almost unfathomable of how revelatory and how there's, stacks of what could be an emotional experience and experiences of pointing my attention to wow, just alright, so settle in here and just purity. There is a purity of every good intention and every life expanding desire. There's a self-reflective and self-expansive there's a self-organizing. There's this dynamic where everything makes sense, and there's an infinite flow. There's an aspect of the healed state in this reflection of never born and never died, and the totality of all existence. There's definitely an aspect of awe. Yeah, definitely an awe. Alright. I pass the mic.
Wow. Oh, see, am I showing up here? All right. Boom, boom, boom. There I am. Well, can sense the awakeness here, looking, being awake to itself over here. Awakeness, being aware of awakeness. Wow. Awakeness, being aware of awakeness. There is a like an energy circuit completed through this recognition. Awakeness recognizing itself. There is a strong energy flow through this, right down through the base of the spine, like a kundalini kind of thing happening. And it's like completing a circuit that that really needed to get completed. Like the aerobarific snake with the tail in its mouth, symbol of the incarnating entity of existence. And an experiencing of this pivotal core of the very source origin of our lives. And how largely unexamined awakeness is by us. And the consequences are legion. Know thyself, and the self is awakeness. So amazing that this is the self. The source origin of our self, the self. And going beyond that label to the actuality of awakeness. Being is it fair in this instance to describe what happens when awakeness is aware of itself like this? Yes, that's a byproduct. Yet to enter into a description of this awakeness, there is a sense of consciousness being conscious of itself, of attention being conscious of attention itself. And in the ripples that are generated by these pebbles being thrown into this pond of, or ocean of consciousness, that these reporting these perceptions are having certainly a self-organizing effect. It's so nourishing and nurturing of this human body, heart, and mind, and I suspect of our bodies, hearts, and minds, or of nurturing of life itself. It's this consciousness of consciousness feels as though it is affecting everything. Being awake to this awakeness is allowing and providing coherent, deeply felt, loving presence to existence. That which I cannot honestly say is existence. It seems to be prior to or distinct from. Oops, I've got one of these bed things coming up here. Seems to be prior to existence. So something, this awakeness being prior to existence is existing, is happening within existence. And so there is a distinction here that this awakeness is wow, fathomless, boundaryless, having no identity. Can't honestly say that it has a beginning or end. Its origins seem to be inaccessible. And it's so wonderful to have, as a human being, to have a relationship, a sensitive relationship with that which is cannot be imagined. Absolutely delicious and so nourishing and magnificent. But again, that is a result of this practice. the breathing is so much easier, but that is a result of this practice. Getting back to a description of this awakeness, it's something beyond me and beyond us that is it witnessing us, or are we utilizing it to witness ourselves? Is this unnameable, indescribable presence that is silent, seemingly silent and still and unchanging? Is it this way because it is the counterpoint to form, true, total formlessness, a void, spaceless, timeless, void without energy or matter or mind or body? Is this the counterpoint to all that we know as existence? Is this counterpoint enabling us to be this awakeness that unites formlessness with form? Is this the alpha and the omega? Is this the looking that we've been looking for all these many millions, if not billions of years, as plants and animals and minerals? Is this what we're attempting to approximate with our images and with our lives? Are we attempting to approximate something so flawless, so indivisible, so intimate, so nourishing, so uniting and love-making? Is this the happiness, the source of happiness that we're been pursuing? That which is indescribable and immeasurable? Pass the mic.
Well, to me, it seems like the fulfillment, the feeling of wholeness and fulfillment. And this exercise is like trying to describe, I'm going to use a metaphor now. I'm trying to describe an orgasm while you're having it. It just, and the way this shows up, the way it occurs, is this this awareness is something that is going through me, through all of us. The skin is not the end of my body. I'm having an energetic experience here, and this vibration that I feel in my hands or my body is the same vibration that I feel outside. There's a garbage truck. There's the same that it's the same vibration. I'm made of the same on the same movement, so to speak. And so, I am the universe doesn't describe it anymore. It's the universe and this awareness going through me. I mean, it's like the way I see it is like an image, I am an image or something transparent that this consciousness goes through, like all of us, including the earth and everything. So, in other words, it's like an hologram. I don't know how to say it, but it's a beingness that I feel right now, and it comes from this vibration and this energetic communication that we have among us right now. It's not just a seeing; it's a being. And that's very healing. I feel like the healing and as I'm looking into it, it feels like it's the same inside here and outside. There's no interruption. No interruption of this awareness by the body, by our finiteness. No polarity here. It's so the material beingness of us is just part of this whole. The mind, body, heart is just a little more coagulated, but it's still the same. That's what I see. I see and I see there's a light actually that is it's subtle light that is pervading this energy. So it's like this consciousness, this being aware is trying to, I mean, it's glowing all of a sudden. There is a pulse. And it's this exercise actually is knowing something by being, by being it, it's like a meditation. I mean, it is a meditation. It is samadhi. This. So we are communicating with one another, still with words, but and with the energy that we are aware of. With this, there's another kind of communication too. they're going on at the same time. You can call it love. You can call it delight, or space, or light, or song, music. Actually, we are not even communicating. We are it. So, and we're using the words to communicate this, but we are it. We are all the song, the same om. I pass the mic.
So we just have 19 minutes left. Anna, you've been doing really good. How about you give it one more shot before we wind down?
Everything is united. So we got it doesn't make distinctions. It just I don't know if this is a proper word. English is my second language, but encompasses everything and doesn't show preference for anything over the other. So right now, some people will be dying, and it's there. We can hear. It's here. And someone else may be laughing or crying, but it doesn't make any. It's there intimately. When the form's quiet, when there's an opening in the noise, when the incessant number of images stop, and it's so beautiful that there is a humbling of the form that knows depends on it. I know it's nothing without it. So when seeing here now together, this is a humbling of everything, because it cannot compare with anything that the mind can conceive. Is beauty, is mystery, is love, generosity, because it's sustaining life. The most precious. Without it, nothing. Nothing is possible. So in the recognition of this presence, or everything becomes humble. We become humble here and surrender. I know it's work, so again, there is a kind of movement towards natural, seductive movement, towards something that sounds far and yet is so close. And the more we hear, the more we know it and get not know it. Thank you. Would like to go next?
I'd like to share two things. One is a moment for me which describes awakeness so very well. Is okay, it's the past a bit, but it's real recent. When Ashton entered, I looked at Ashton, and he was so awake, and so bright-eyed, especially for him. It was quite an early rise for him, and it's just this illuminate, totally awake, totally one, just totally in oneness, and shared something very delightful with me. And then I, was with him receiving this delight in awakeness, bright-eyed and mirror. There's a mirror of sharing and mirror neurons firing off and being in oneness and being awake together. And I sense maybe you're able to see a father-son moment, and I know my head was turned. Maybe that'll be on the screen as well. And so that is one perfect description of awakeness. And the second one is infinitely touching. There's this touching aspect of formless and form, and these like spheres of these eyes that go on everywhere, and to be one of these spheres of eyes connected to all these other these eyes, and to be able to zoom in and out to any level. Hey. Here's another description of awakeness. A very immovable quality. There's a very rock-like, powerful presence. Very tuned into the omnipotence, this omnipotent, I get the choiceless choice. It's always there. In that aspect of omnipresent and omnisentient, there's this just so powerful awakeness. Seeing everything, experiencing everything. Probably because it all has this aspect of a complete surrender, of being seen, or at least has this availability of being seen and heard and felt and experienced. It has a spacious quality of receptive to. So I'm stoked with our practice today. I'm really glad we described awakeness, and we put our attention on attention itself, which is often taken for granted. And I'm really glad we put credit where credit is due, and shared so lovingly our shared awakeness. So here's one with our one here that's very stoked. Thanks. Pass the mic.
I'd like to add something to thanks to this this practice today. I'm becoming aware of that when we do something, like we sing a song, or or we dance a dance, or whatever, it's like the dance of the universe. We are expressing one of all the infinite facets of in which this energy expresses itself. All of a sudden, I feel that when last year I said we are part of this, we are the same Om. All of a sudden, I felt like, oh, so when we sing a song, is that song? Or when I cook something, is that thing? It has that, and it's an expression of the. So instead of seeing it separate, or like I'm going back to material world, no, it's in line. It's the consciousness. It takes that shape in that moment. I feel that's a new awareness for me. So there is no interruption. There is no interruption. It's all. So when we give something, we give just like the universe gives, or the consciousness gives. Or when we take something, it's the same thing. Like you were describing, Brian, your interaction with your son. You were in that moment. It feels so, like we say this word, self-organizing. It feels like that. It feels like harmonious. It's meant to be. It's already done, all that. Thank you. It's very.
Yes, I have to pardon someone cutting a tree over here. Absolutely, everything seems to be an outgrowth or a parallel product of that which is prior to any product. This awakeness, especially being awake to itself, it may not it may not be knowing anything at its actual source. It may be beyond all form and all knowing. It may be unknowable and unintelligible, indescribable. It may be absolutely nothing. It may be we may be a parody of its indivisibility and its causeless, choiceless, irreducible presence as the void. And we all may be dancing to its and mimicking its its utter and complete, unique and incomparable nature, or at least attempting with our feelings and sensations and perceptions, automatically attempting to get closer to what it is to be so singular and so finite, without being a thing, without being a thought, without having a cause, for all eternity, for all of time, that which is timeless, maintains its character immortally, and that our immortal nature may well be derived directly from this awakeness, which is unknowing, non-existent. And so we may be celebrating at the level of form and human consciousness that which is which we may, through this exploration, experientially together, we may experience that which is beyond awakeness, that which is prior to any experience. And that which is prior to any experience may be the actual causeless cause, or the effortless, the origin of effortlessness. It is that it can be spread out. This nothingness can be spread out as in space over time, and be the allowing for the creation of energy and matter and mind and body, and remain as what coordinates it without ever having to exist at all. Maybe that's why it's been so elusive, what and who we all are. So it's like it's open mic time and bye-bye for us.
Yeah, right on.
Wow. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Beautiful to share with you. Thank you.
Really tremendous, guys. Wow. I mean, it's definitely, an A+++. As awkward and as, point blank confrontational, and wow, it really, it's fantastic. Thank you.
would be interesting to hear what the viewer have to say, if anything.
Oh, boy. Yeah, we had our
Huh?
one viewer, and that one viewer could be, I don't know, any one of us, but not one of us. But one with us, yes.
All
All right.
right.
Wonderful, for sure. Wow. So it may have taken us only a year of practice to get around to actually being able to be awakeness talking about itself. But wow, I'm glad we got here.
Okay. Love you guys.
Love
Okay,
you.
love you all.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.